Hello everyone and welcome to Realistic Realtors. We're with Superior Coaching School. I'm Bill and this is Nick. And what our program is all about is getting you to take action. We're going to show you the steps that you can take right away and put your business into action, make you successful. And today we're talking about volume number 17 and we're talking about networking to the max, Nick. And with networking, we're going to start off with a quote like we always do. If you're not networking, you're not working, guys. As simple as that. How important is it, Nick, to network?
I think that's a great quote. I mean, we like to keep it real here as realistic realtors because I think, again, it's so important. What you mentioned, old school and new school. You got to be realistic with your business. You can't use just one or one approach or the other. It's got to be a blend of both. That's how you're successful in real estate and the market today. And I think when you're talking about networking used to just be belly to belly, right? That's how you've grown your business.
That's how I did it.
Yeah, that's how you did it, and you've done a very great job, an excellent job of it. But now when you take and you add into account social media and how this is affecting how we network, right? There's so many different layers to peel back, but I think it really comes back to being personal, and I think that's where we start today. Bill, you always say that whenever you meet somebody to make a personal connection. Can you give us a couple examples of that?
Yeah, so I'll just give an example of a listing appointment. I sit down to a listing appointment. I just want to hear about them. And I all of a sudden find out that this one guy is from Pittsburgh. And right away I was like, hey, you ever been to Pamani Brothers? It's a world famous, deli, where they cut the bread, they throw french fries and sauce and cheese and coleslaw, they smush it together, they fry it, but everyone loves it, okay? I was over in France and I went downstairs to use the restroom and there was a whole board, I've been to Pamani's, and people took pictures of themselves. So back to my point, all of a sudden, he loved Pamani's and we had a connection. And I went even a little further. I said, you've been to Grand Concourse? He goes, sure, the best breakfast ever. All of a sudden, we're like buddies, made a connection. That's a soft touch of how you can start networking with someone and build a relationship.
And I think another important piece of that is, sports, where you're from, things of that nature, right? Like you said.
All the time.
So my family's from New England. We're big Patriots, Red Sox fans.
We won't hold that against you.
I know you won't, because as a Giants fan,
I'm a New Yorker.
New Yorker, there you go. So you can make a connection, make someone laugh just over that. But I had a client that was a big Red Sox fan, and that was one of the first things we connected on. And before he had talked to anybody else, he said he was going to have interview other realtors for the position. And right after I mentioned, my dad was born in Quincy, from New England, used to go up there every summer, big Bostonians. He's like, he completely forgot that he was even going to interview anybody else. Like, I had him at that point because you make that connection. So I think being personal is so important, because if you can connect with somebody and earn their trust, they will hire you, because this is more than anything, Bill. How many times have you heard this? This is an emotional business, right?
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be a positive connection. Like you said, if I had you over my house, I'm a Yankee fan, New York fan, and you're a Red Sox fan, you'll say, well, I won't hold it against you,
Make a joke of it.
Make a joke out of it. So just make a connection. That's the most important thing, is that people like you and trust you. You're going to earn their business.
Yeah, we suffered for 86 years, so we suffered enough. Throw me a bone, right? You can make a connection out of it and make people laugh over that. So I think it's so important to have that. And so that's one-on-one, those connections, being personal. But I think let's talk now more about networking events, okay? This is really how I built a lot of my business, and you as well, just being active and being out there. Bill, as a realtor, can you earn a six-figure income sitting at home?
No, you have to be out at networking events. And what I went to, I go to a lot of fundraisers every year. You're sitting at a table, and some are just straightforward fundraisers. Others might have trivia night as a part of the fundraiser. You get to laugh, you get to meet people. That is just one avenue of social networking.
Yeah, the way I view it is this. The age-old saying, right? There's so many fish in the sea, right? Well, it's kind of hard to meet other fish if you're in a tank. Right?
Exactly. And how many realtors do we know? We know one realtor that his church is a huge part of his real estate network. It just happens that way. I know so many people that realtors that play golf like 3 times a week. Well, a lot of people he sell houses to are other buddies he plays golf with.
And I want to take it back to our good friend that is a member of this church. And he's actually new to Charlotte, new to the area, right? So he basically said, I started over He's like, Nick, Bill, I didn't know anybody here.
Sure.
I was starting completely over. So I joined a church and I became a member. And he's like, and then after I was going there for a year, I started meeting, know a couple people. He took on a leadership position. So one thing I'll say about networking events, and I think this is so key, if you really want to take your business to the next level, you might have been attending, it could be any kind of meetings, any sort of event, and you're going to meet new people. Now it's time to take it to the next level. You should approach leadership and say, how can I get involved? Right? Because you're coming, even if you volunteer, right? So I know a realtor out in Texas that he goes and volunteers at every single event at his church, but also with the real estate commission. Why? Because he wants to meet realtors.
Yes, and if you're building a team, you want to meet realtors, right?
Exactly.
Then you can interview them without them even knowing.
Exactly.
So building a team, go to a mortgage event, right? Go to a builder's event. Why? All realtors will gather there, and you actually can go meet other realtors, and they might become part of your team.
And if you don't know how to break the ice or you think you're feeling uncomfortable, just say you went for the food, because that's why we all go.
That's right. That's realtors, right? We a free meal, we're there.
Exactly. That's build it, they will come.
Yep.
So if you just go to these events, the point is get out of your comfort zone. And I think that's something that we all really need to identify with, is that we got to be uncomfortable. We're going to be uncomfortable in real estate. Nothing's easy. But if you're not putting yourself in a position to capitalize on the opportunities that are in front of you, you'll never succeed.
And let's look at it this way. I have a friend. She is part of the Downtown Cornelius board, and she goes to all the meetings, the town meetings. Well, that's her network, but she also knows what's going on in town, so she can take that information and go back to her investor clients and say, do you know they're expanding this lane, and maybe you should buy this plot of land or this building?
Yeah.
So there's so many different ways. Like Nick said, you have to just get out and join. You couldn't belong to enough networking groups. The problem is we all get comfortable. We don't want to get off the couch. It happens.
Yeah, I think being comfortable, like you said, we get complacent with, we know enough people at this point. For those of us who've been in the business a long time, you start to realize, man, do I really need to keep going out to these events? Should I? But the thing is, if you don't continue to go, you start to lose that name recognition, right?
Sure.
So like, for example, if you've been to every swim meet, right?
Yep.
And with your kids, and all of a sudden now you stop sponsoring. And now you still go every once in a while, but now you're not every one. Someone else, another realtor is going to take that opportunity.
Some other realtor is handing out the free pizza, handing out their business cards, volunteering as a timer. Parents, they always need someone to time the swimmers, and all of a sudden my role is less and less, and someone's stepping into it.
Yeah.
So you have a networking group and it's working. You can't pay enough attention to it.
And you know what? I'll bring it back to another networking group. We know a good realtor in our area that she built basically a women's council, a group for just networking, having coffee. It's kind of like a book club, and it's just only women, and there's 50 people in that group, and there's only one woman for each profession. So she's got exactly one realtor, her. Mm-hmm. She's got one loan officer, home warranty, a landscaper, for everything, yoga instructor. I mean, she's like, we have our slots, they get filled. That's it. She opened a second group on the other side of town.
Yeah.
Same gig.
And it's not that hard to start a networking group if you would just put in the time. I remember Nick, a few months ago, said, Bill, let's get together with some realtors. We'll talk about the iBuyer program.
Yeah.
You put out something on Facebook the day before, and we had a dozen people at the meeting.
Yeah.
And there was really no promotion about it. You just put it on Facebook the day before.
But it's just a need, It's said, hey, this is a problem, and here's a solution. Let's talk. Let's just join and meet for coffee. Right. And so she did the same thing, except she said, well, I think we need to promote women, and we need to promote our businesses. And so we'll have a women book reading club networking group. And she said, but I don't want 100 realtors in there. She said, if I'm going to put in the time and the energy to organize the group, I want one person from each profession. So, I mean, there's like a dry cleaner. You got one lady there, so no other dry cleaner can join the group. Sorry.
Right, accountant, attorney, whatever.
Exactly. So she's like, oh, we want to have one person, and then that's her group, and she sells a lot of real estate for that group. So that's something you can do. But you mentioned business cards, Bill. How important is it to always have a card on you?
You always have to have a card on you. Look, right here, we're in the studio. Who am I going to see today? You never know. I can see someone in the parking lot. I always have business cards. So Nick came to visit me at my Florida house, and we go to the gym, and we both happen to have business cards. And I met an agent that I might want to bring on my team. I had a business card to give her, and Nick picked up a client of someone in Hickory, North Carolina,
Yeah.
at the gym. So you never know. I don't care if it's a gym, it's a church, wherever you're going, bring the business cards with you. You never know who you're going to run into, especially whenever I travel. Oh, man. I mean, I'm sitting there half an hour before the plane takes off.
Oh, yeah.
Half the people know I'm a realtor before I get on that plane.
Yeah, great example. We were flying back from an event in Las Vegas, and I was sitting next to a gentleman who owned a construction company, construction business. He actually owns like 30 rental properties, buys and sells a lot of real estate, and we had a very good conversation about the market, where it's headed. I don't think we talked the entire way back, and I have a really good connection now and a good partner. And just because I had spoken with another realtor that was on the plane, and he's like, "Are you a realtor?"
Yep.
I was like, "Yeah," and we just started talking.
Sure.
Gave him my card. It was good. But now let me ask you something. You have cards on you. What if you don't have your cards? Because if you don't have your card on you.
Right, there's something new that Nick brought up to me, and it's like a digital business card.
I think it's so important. Everybody out there, I want everybody to go look at a digital business card. If you want an example, you can look at mine. You can go to www.nickscard.com, NICKSCARD.com. Do it on your phone, and you can download my contact, and Bill's contact's on there as well. And you can just see an example of why it's so important, because these digital cards are basically, in essence, what they are is it's a safety net. You can send it to somebody. If someone asks you your contact information and they say, "Hey, can you just text me your number?" Instead of just texting them your name, you can now text them your card. You can have all your information, and you can actually capture their information on there as well.
And they'll never lose it.
And they'll never lose it.
Never lose it.
And they'll have your photo, they'll have your website, your email, everything, instead of just putting your name.
Right.
And so that's very big.
So we talked about networking, right? You have to get yourself out there. We talked about developing your own networking group. We talked about the importance of business cards. It's also important that you pick an event and you network that event year after year. I think everyone needs to select something as a realtor in a community and or the community that you're farming to sponsor or network at an event. It could be New Year's Eve party, whatever it is. Hopefully something that there's a lot of audience there, a lot of attendance.
Yeah, and then take it to the next level by getting into a leadership role, right? Start to run the events.
Sure.
Run the parties. And then take as much.
And volunteer at those events, right?
Yeah.
You just brought up the events, right? I mean, a lot of these guys might be listening to this, they're brand new, right? They can't afford to maybe, treat some people, some glasses of wine networking event. You just said volunteer one.
I used to go and volunteer at the soup kitchen all the time, and I would go help out people there. And you might think, well, at the soup kitchen, you're helping the homeless, they're not looking to buy real estate properly, right? But wouldn't you know, when you go and volunteer there in the holidays, you have hundreds and hundreds of other volunteers. Right, that you're building rapport with. And by the way, that's something you're giving back.
You're giving back, Nick. The more we give back, the more we'll reap in rewards. We all know that. So volunteer is something, it's just time, right? It doesn't cost you any money. So go volunteer your time at these networking events, and the more people you meet, the bigger your sphere, bigger your network becomes.
Yeah, we have a guy on our team, Chris, who volunteers all the time, donating food, helping with food drives and everything, and everybody in the community knows Chris. So just from that perspective, again, he's built an influence, and he's very new to the area and everything. So I think part of the action plan today, everybody should go identify at least 5 different groups that you might even think of are groups, but identify 5 different networks that you're part of.
Sure. Let's look at some right now. Anything that has to do with the school system, you can volunteer with. It could be the PTA. It could be at events that we volunteer to set up and break down events. It could be school dances.
Yep.
It could be any golfing event in the community. You could go to the high school and volunteer at they need so much help.
Yeah.
You guys just have to take action, and do something, like we said before, that you're attracted to, that you'll bring energy to it.
And I think the most important part as well, you go to the event, you now dressed up, spent the time, spent the money, you're getting in the car, you've gone to the event, you're here meeting people. Take pictures and take videos and post on social media. Let people know, look at where I'm at. I'm at this event, because when's the next time you're going to be there? You don't know, right? Maybe it's an annual event. It might not happen again to the next year. You got to let people know that you're there.
And you bring up a good point. So you meet someone at one of these events and say they're not a realtor, it could be a future client. Connect with them on social media that night because they will remember you. If you connect a month later, they might not remember you.
And that might be an advantage of getting a digital card because you can connect with them from your digital card.
Right away.
Right away. So I think we've given you guys plenty of content to go over. We're giving you some action steps. I want everyone to identify 5 networks that they're a part of. And I think we're going to bring out our special guest now. So we have an awesome guest that's going to talk all about networking and what she's done to grow her business using networking. And so I don't want to give too much away because there's a lot of content. She breaks down kind of all of her secrets and some of the events that she goes to as well. So you guys watch that video, take some good notes. Again, put into action those different groups you're part of, and we will see you next week.
See you next week.